Hi, Insane Sam here again. In this video, I'm going to tell you about my top 10 favorite Route 66 towns. Now, my top 10 aren't necessarily the most classic towns, but they're places I have a lot of fun. Also going to give you a bunch of honorable mentions. So here we go. Number 10 is Wilmington, Illinois. Wilmington is the hometown of the Gemeni Giant and of the Launching Pad Drive-In. It's also the home of Rex the freeze-dried dog who lives in the Rustic Saloon. Wilmington makes the list not just because of the Giant, Rex, and the Rustic Saloon. It's near Braidwood and the Polka Dot Drive-In and the Corner Keg bars over there. There's several other small towns that all have prosperous, authentic Route 66 spots in this area, so it's really the whole area that's getting the nod. Number 9 is Oatman, Arizona. Oatman's an old mining town that's a bit touristy and a bit cheesy. Wild burros wander around the streets. They're the descendants of the pack mules of the old-time miners. You can feed them by your hand. The 1902 Oatman Hotel is where Clark Gable and Carol Lumbard went when they eloped. You can take a photo of their room. The hotel has the only air-conditioned bar for miles around. Now, the Oatman Hotel no longer has lodging, and there aren't any other hotels nearby. If there was a place to stay overnight, Oatman would be a couple of notches higher on the list. Number 8 is Seligman, Arizona. Seligman's the first town on the old 1926 alignment of Route 66 between Ash Fork, Arizona and Topac, California. It's 165 miles of old Route 66 that's out of sight of I-40, except when you go through Kingman, and even Kingman's a great Route 66 town that has a bunch of authentic Route 66 motor courts. The most famous place in Seligman is the Snowcap Drive-In, which is probably the most photographed authentic Route 66 drive-in restaurant. There's a strip of antique shops that have a special flair, and there's several old motels that are in better than average condition. The world-famous Black Cat Bar is the place to hang out, and the Roadkill Cafe is the place to eat. Number 7 is Tucumcari, New Mexico. Tucumcari once was a hub of commerce. There were dozens of motels, and there used to be 20 billboards per mile on the way into town. Many of the old motel buildings remain, but a lot of them have been closed down for years. They used to light up all the neon signs at night, even the ones that had been closed. They don't do much of that anymore, but looking at all those signs is fun even when they're not lit up. The Blue Swallow Motel is probably the most photographed motel sign on Route 66. It advertises 100% refrigerated air. It's an authentic Route 66 motor court, and you'll have a true Route 66 experience if you stay there. The Safari Motel across the street's been restored, and it's also a good place to stay. The place to hang out is the Lizard Lounge at the Pow Wow Motel. If you're not staying at the Pow Wow, they have a shuttle that'll pick you up and drop you off safely. Number 6 is Gallo, New Mexico. Gallo is a big Native American jewelry town. There are dozens of stores and bargaining's expected. It also has one of the best collections of authentic Route 66 motels, and they all have great signs. Gallo has the El Rancho Motel. It was opened by a relative of Cecil B. DeMille, and actors would stay there when they were filming movies nearby. Every room is named for a movie star who stayed there. My favorite room's the Kirk Douglas room. The El Rancho also has the 49er Bar, which is one of the great bars on Route 66. The American Bar and Cole Avenue Pub up the street are also good. Number 5 is Cuba, Missouri. Cuba has a lot of authentic Route 66 history, plus there's several great places to eat and drink. Cuba is known as the Mural City because of all the murals on the sides of historic buildings. A bunch of those murals are on a 1932 Phillips station downtown at the Four-Way, which is a four-way intersection down there. The Wagon Wheel Motel is the oldest continuously operated motel on Route 66 and has a really neat restored neon sign. The Missouri Hick Barbecue has the best pulled pork and best ribs I've ever had anywhere. I go out of my way to go to Cuba just to go there. Frisco's is billed as a steak place, but it has a lot of other things to eat in there too. The bar dates all the way back to the early 20th century. The East Office Bar and Grill has food, pool tables, and other games, and the jukebox is classic rock. There's a place called the Rose Bar on the edge of town, and it's edgy but also good. Number 4 is Albuquerque, New Mexico. There are 2 entrances to downtown Albuquerque. One's on the pre-1930 alignment and one's on the post-1930 alignment of Route 66. There's a lot of authentic stuff on both these alignments. Downtown Central Avenue is the heart of Albuquerque's Route 66. There are plenty of bars and restaurants that are biker destinations. Everything's close enough so you can park and walk. The 1927 Chemo Theater on Central Avenue is rumored to be haunted. The Route 66 Diner and Route 66 Association of New Mexico also are on Central Avenue. Now there are 2 exits out of downtown Albuquerque. The pre-1930 alignment has the Red Ball Cafe, where they've been serving the Wimpy Burger since the 1920s. There's an old Dairy Queen. There's a giant statue of the Roadrunner cartoon character. And there's a lot of other old architecture and a dozen ancient pueblos you can go through. The post-1930 alignment passes by Old Town Albuquerque, and there are several restored classic motels. The best of these is the El Vado. That's where I stay in Albuquerque. Number 3 is Tulsa. Just before you get to Tulsa, you'll be in Catoosa, Oklahoma, and you'll see the Blue Whale there. Time magazine called it one of the 50 best roadside attractions in America. It's exactly what you expect it to be, and you'll love it. 11th Street is Route 66 in Tulsa, and it's only a few minutes from the Blue Whale. It's about 10 miles of old Route 66 motels, restaurants, and other businesses, along with a bunch of neat neon signs. Someone needs to do one of those then and now books about 11th Street. It's a really neat place. Be on the lookout at the end of 11th Street for the gold medal milk ice cream sign. You need to see that at night. The 1927 Campbell Hotel on 11th Street is my favorite Route 66 hotel. Tally's Cafe, the Corner Cafe, and the El Rancho Grande on 11th Street all have great Route 66 neon signs, and they all have good food. The 2 good biker bars I like to go to there are Ed's Hurricane Lounge and the Double Shot. They're both on 11th Street too. Number 2 is Santa Fe, New Mexico. If you come into Santa Fe from Albuquerque, you can hike La Bajada Hill, which was the original entrance and exit into Santa Fe on the old 1926 alignment of Route 66. This road dates from the 1500s and started in Mexico City. This road was so steep that cars had to drive up it in reverse, because back then the fuel tanks were gravity fed into the engines, and without going backwards, the gas wouldn't make it into the engine. The plaza in Santa Fe is full of ancient buildings and great hotels, bars, and restaurants. The Palace of the Governors on the plaza was built in 1610, and it's the oldest continuously operated public building in the United States. The Chapel of San Miguel Pobarrio de Analco is the oldest continuously operated church in the United States. The oldest house in the United States, which dates from 1200, is in Santa Fe. The La Fonda Hotel on the plaza is one of the oldest and best hotels on Route 66. Be sure to eat at the Shed. On the way out of town, Cerrillos Avenue has a bunch of authentic Route 66 motor courts. The best of these is the El Rey. Now we're down to number 1, Williams, Arizona. Williams reminds me of how Jackson Hole, Wyoming was 25 years ago. These towns don't look like each other, but they have the same feel. The high altitude keeps the air crisp at night, even in the summer. The stars are right on top of you. Folks walk around in cowboy hats and boots that aren't costumes. The Grand Canyon Railroad gives rides in vintage rail coaches pulled by a steam engine to the Grand Canyon, which is only 50 miles away. The world-famous Sultana Bar has been in continuous operation since 1906, which is 6 years before Arizona became a state. The Canyon Club's another cool vintage bar on Main Street. The Grand Canyon Hotel is the oldest hotel in Arizona, and while it's a little rustic, that's where I stay when I'm there. The Red Garter Bed and Bakery is a restored 1897 brothel. It's one of the nicest places to stay in Williams. Okay, so that's my top 10. Now let me give you some honorable mentions. I could probably give you a lot more honorable mentions than I'm going to give here, but these are the best of them, I think. Springfield, Illinois. It has a strip along Route 66 with a bunch of biker bars. Each year over Memorial Day and Labor Day weekends, the Springfield Fairgrounds hosts a motorcycle race around a dirt track known as the Springfield Mile. Thousands of bikers attend, and most of the biker bars put on special events with live bands. The Cozy Dog Drive-In claims to have invented the corn dog. Springfield has the Lincoln Tomb, the Lincoln Presidential Library, and a lot of other Lincoln stuff. Carlinville, Illinois. The big biker spot's the Full Throttle about 4 miles out of town. It's a great spot with great food. Carlinville also has an impressive downtown square with the historic $1 million courthouse, which was built in 1870. The St. George Room is the preferred biker spot on the square. It's in the 1870 Loomis House, which is a 50-room hotel. In the older days, it was a brothel. The Anchor Inn next door to the St. George Room is the oldest bar in town. The next is Devil's Elbow, Missouri. Devil's Elbow has the Elbow Inn, which is a roadhouse dating from 1929. It has barbecue and all the other food you usually find in biker joints. There are hundreds of autographed bras that biker chicks have given up and stapled to the ceiling. Spencer, Missouri. Spencer's a ghost town that was founded in the 1870s when a post office opened there. But it was a ghost town by 1912. When Route 66 came through, it had a revitalization, but then when I-44 bypassed the town, it became a ghost town again. Today, it's the best preserved ghost town on Route 66. Next, we have Carthage, Missouri. Carthage has the restored 1939 Boots Court Motel, plus a couple of good bars on Route 66 on the town square. Next is Joplin, Missouri. Joplin was the site of a Bonnie and Clyde shootout, and the house where it happened is still there. You can rent it out if you want to. Joplin also has Wilder's, which was a 1920 speakeasy, and it's a great steakhouse today. Next, we jump all the way to Holbrook, Arizona. Holbrook has the Winner's Circle Bar. It also has Romo's Restaurant. But the big thing in Holbrook is that it has one of the 2 remaining Wigwam motels. Each room is its own individual teepee. It's also near the Painted Desert and the Petrified Forest. Next is Flagstaff, Arizona. This is just a cool old hippie town. You stay downtown, everything's within walking distance. It also has a bunch of authentic Route 66 hotels and restaurants. The altitude makes things cool even in the summer. Kingman, Arizona has the Dam Bar Steakhouse, which is one of my Route 66 favorites. It also has a whole bunch of 1950s era motels complete with functioning neon signs. And last we get to Pasadena, California. This is a squeaky clean town with dozens of well-kept motels. I like to stay at the Saga. There's also plenty of good places to eat and drink, including Our Place, which is my favorite Route 66 bar. And even though it's not on Route 66, it's worth going to see the Rose Bowl. Okay, so those are my top 10 Route 66 towns and my honorable mentions. Get on the road and visit them all.